Hi everyone, hope you are feeling positive and healthy. Please subscribe with all bell notifications if you haven't already, and please don't hesitate to leave your valuable feedback and advice below. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the stories. Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to let my husband go on his boy trip and leave me to care for my newborn alone? Me F23 and my husband M26 had our baby girl 3 weeks ago. She's a blessing and she's been filling my time with joy even though it's been difficult for us since we never experienced this before. My husband has been acting weird lately. He's been stressing out and worrying too much about doing something wrong when caring for a baby. He did a number of things that really got me concerned. He would walk out whenever our daughter starts to cry, but that was in the first week and thank God he doesn't do it anymore. He wouldn't hold her fearing he'd drop her. He doesn't help with changing diapers saying he doesn't know. He always calls his mom for advice which she sees as an opportunity to step in and take my baby from me. He'd get worried and starts panicking whenever she coughs and mention the hospital. This all has been affecting me as well. It's so exhausting and I started to be negatively affected by his behavior. Yesterday, he was talking to his buddy on the phone. His buddy told him that next week the group will be going on a trip for 5 days. My husband got excited and told him to count him in. He came to tell me that he decided to go with the guys on the trip for 5 days as an opportunity to get away from all this stress. I looked at him and told him he was being selfish to go on a trip and leave me to take care of our daughter alone. He said no problem, he'll just call his mom to come stay with me or I go stay at her place for just 5 days. He begged me saying this trip was necessary because he was on the verge of breaking down and complained about how he didn't expect it to be like this, meaning having a baby. I was speechless. Once his mom takes my daughter she refuses to give her back. Would start taking pictures, inviting people to visit, tries to feed her with formula and criticizes my breastfeeding. It's not enough, it's a nightmare. But he argued saying I was just jealous because he'd get to get fresh air while I'll be stuck at home. He said he won't waste this opportunity and is going with or without my consent. I yelled at him because he was unreasonable, but he's sticking to his decision and is talking about how my postpartum is making me say/do all of this. I'd seriously reevaluate your relationship if you just brushes of your concerns. Your mother-in-law having people around your baby during a pandemic is a serious red flag. That's not cool. Also, leaving you for 5 days with her is something he seems to obviously understand would stress you out a lot. If he isn't willing to compromise and go for a shorter part of the trip or offer to let you then go on your own similar trip so you can also get away, I'd say it sounds like you're dealing with a child, not the unreasonable one. Your body is still healing. He is not doing diapers or feedings if you are breastfeeding. He should be able to take a break, maybe take a day, but 5 days is a lot when you have a newborn. Can you go stay with your family if he goes? Would I be the unreasonable one for not inviting my sister to my wedding as she's joked about ruining it after I ruined hers? 3 years ago, my ex-boyfriend proposed to me at my sister's wedding, in front of everyone, while giving what was meant to be a best man speech. He was friends with the groom. It was not approved by anyone, especially not me or my sister, and I said no in front of everyone, and he stormed out. This definitely distracted from events, so I left shortly after, apologizing profusely. It's been a few years since then. My sister has said she's over it, but she really isn't because she brings it up every time we see each other, and she's made it clear that she still holds a grudge. We were really close before, I was her maid of honor, but after that she sort of pulled away from me. I'm now engaged, not to the proposal guy, to another fella. We're planning the wedding for early 2022. My sister has been joking about payback for years now, saying that when I get married she's going to do something to ruin the wedding. I don't know what, but I have my theories, the front runner being announcing a pregnancy or some other milestone during the reception. We've had a conversation recently, about a month ago, where she said something like that, and I've said I know my ex was a douche, but please remember that I didn't want him to do that and please don't pull a stunt at my wedding. And her response has usually been something like, wow, yeah, I bet someone announcing a major milestone at your wedding would really ruin your event, though you probably wouldn't understand that unless it happened to you, or words to that effect. I have apologized multiple times, but it's been 3 years and she still holds a grudge against me. I was talking with my mom earlier. She asked if I'd started planning yet. I said no, and mom says that I should get my sister to help, and I just sort of said that I'm not even sure about inviting her. It just kind of slipped out, TBH. In the rest of the conversation I admitted, after mom pressed me, that I was unsure about inviting her because of these jokes she's made over the years, because if 3, nearly 4, years later she's still making these jokes, then they're probably not jokes anymore. and inviting her might not be a good idea. Don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those brides that expects everyone to just put their lives on hold for my wedding, but I feel like she's basically said that she is planning to F up my wedding. Mom, however, thinks I'm being unfair, that my sister is allowed to have feelings about her wedding day, and about mine, because my ex's actions did affect her day, and said that my sister is most likely only joking and I shouldn't take what she said seriously, and definitely shouldn't leave her off the guest list for my wedding because of the jokes. She's also said that if my sister isn't invited, then she, as in Mom, won't go either, in solidarity, and called me a bridezilla. Would I be the unreasonable one for not inviting my sister? Not the unreasonable one. If your sister wants to ruin a wedding, she should show up uninvited to your ex's wedding, if he ever gets married, and ruin his wedding, not yours. Because he's the person who wronged her. You were both victims of his behavior, and I am so sorry that she can't see that and is transferring the blame onto the wrong person. Not the unreasonable one. I'd elope if I was you. You can't win. If you don't invite your sister, your family will try to guilt you into it. If you do invite her, you'll spend all day waiting for her to misbehave and ruin everything. Don't cave and invite your sister unless she solemnly promises not to seek petty revenge. And, even then, get someone to keep an eye on her and throw her out if she looks like she is starting something. Good luck. Am I the unreasonable one for not telling my ex-husband when our son passed away? My 33th son was born with a congenital heart defect. He had a surgery during his first year. That's where my suffering began. My life literally changed. My husband and I started working with his pediatric cardiologist to take care of him, although we felt hopeless because his condition continued to get worse. He had a low weight for his age and wasn't able to get enough nutrition. My husband started getting depressed and slowly pulled away from our child's care. I did everything. Took care of everything. I had to home monitor my son 24/7 and took the lead in managing his medication, procedures and therapy for 2 years. My husband sat me down and told me it was best for us to get separated. He said he couldn't cope with this new life and me being emotionally absent from him and having to care for our son all the time. He said he couldn't live like that anymore. He added to my suffering by having me attend court sessions while trying to take care of my sick son. He just left me to take care of my son alone. He just walked. It was that simple for him. I'm so grateful my family stood by me during this difficult time. I later found out that he got married again, moved away and was living a normal life, completely forgetting about his sick son. But I made sure my son had everything he needed. But after everything I've done, it just wasn't enough. He passed away. He was taken from me in an instance. All this joy he brought to my life is now replaced with heartache and loneliness, and it's horrible feeling. I tried to call him, after all he was my son's dad, but he changed his number. I couldn't find a way to get to him. After the funeral I stayed for additional 2 weeks with my family. That's when my ex-husband rushed in and came at me for not telling him about his son's death. He berated me and said that I was heartless and called me nasty names and was upset he had to hear the news from an outsider. I tried to explain to him, but my attempts were met with yelling and cursing. I yelled back telling him that he abandoned his son while sick to go marry again and didn't visit nor called. He defended himself saying my fault was way bigger and greater than his and that no good mother does this. My dad sided with him and told me to be more understanding of his anger. I didn't want to talk anymore because I was in the middle of grieving my baby and he had to pull this in me and turn my dad against me, pretending to care now that it's too late. Not the unreasonable one. 1. He abandoned you both. 2. You tried to contact him and couldn't because he cut contact while abandoning you both. 3. Now he's actively trying to turn your family against you. He is an awful man. Not the unreasonable one. He left you. He left his son. You tried to tell him. Am I the unreasonable one for ignoring sister-in-law's apology for a prank gone wrong? My mother-in-law is not allowed to be alone with my son for a variety of reasons. She is very unstable and manipulative. Sister-in-law, not daughter, also married in, does not have the same experience at all and adores mother-in-law. I know sister-in-law thinks I am being overdramatic, but she had never undermined me before. The other day I got a text from sister-in-law saying that my husband had dropped off our son with mother-in-law. I immediately panicked and contacted my husband, but he wasn't picking up. He was actually at his dad's house and our son was swimming, so he didn't have his phone on him. I went to mother-in-law's house and banged on her door. She told me to get off of her property. I was screaming to know where my son was and mother-in-law just kept telling me to get off of her property. I was in total survival mode and ran out back and tried to get in the house through a window. Mother-in-law's boyfriend ran into the bathroom and saw me breaking in and clamped the window down so I couldn't move. Mother-in-law came in and I told her, with tears in my eyes, what was going on. But she didn't give a crap. She wouldn't even confirm that she didn't have my son. They called 911 and the police did not want to hear my side and treated it like a normal break-in. I later found out sister-in-law made that up as a prank. She did apologize because she obliviously didn't know how far things would go. But I have been completely ignoring her for a week and now various family members are saying I'm overreacting. Everyone sucks here. Your sister-in-law was awful, but why didn't you call the cops to get your kid out? You legit broke into a house. Calling the police would have been the far better alternative to breaking and entering. Am I the unreasonable one for ruining my sister-in-law's baby name? My sister-in-law, 32, does not like me at all. 26 years old female. She's always tried to one-up me as she married into the family first. Our husbands are brothers, and she resents that I had a kid before her. I got pregnant at 21 when my husband and I were then dating and our darling girl Lily, fake name, was born in 2016. She's now 4. Some background. My husband and I already had a name picked out for Lily, however my mom died suddenly early on in my pregnancy. Lily was her middle name so we named our daughter that and used her original name of Sophie, fake name, as her middle name, hence she is now Lily Sophie. Well, sister-in-law is pregnant and she's having a girl and said that the only name she liked was Lily. She said absolutely no other name will do and she even came up to me and asked if I would start calling my Lily by her middle name of Sophie so the only Lily in the family is her kid. I was furious. I told her no, that's my daughter's name and she just had to pick the one name that has some meaning to me cause it was my mom's middle name. I know she is doing this just to spite me. She keeps harassing me and I told her to leave me the F alone and she can pick any other name in the world that didn't belong to my dead mom who has no meaning to her. I heard she and my brother-in-law have reluctantly picked another name, but she is calling me an unreasonable person for ruining her perfect name. This woman is so freaking ridiculous and everyone is expecting me to apologize for upsetting a pregnant woman. Also, I never meant to come across saying she couldn't have the name. If she approached me saying she liked the name Lily, that would have been cool. What's annoying is that she knows how traumatic my mom's death was and is expecting me to just call my kid by her middle name. Not the unreasonable one. I'm sorry. What? This is unbelievably entitled. Surely there are other names in the world that aren't A, your daughter's name, and B, deeply meaningful to you on account of your mom. Your sister-in-law sounds like a major unempathetica. I don't know if there's a term for a pregnancy bridezilla, babyzilla, momzilla? Not the unreasonable one. She is being ridiculous. She can still name her daughter Lily, just seems pissy that it's your daughter's name and she's just trying to start drama. Am I the unreasonable one for humiliating a man and his entire family when he proposed to me? On my phone. Sorry about any formatting issues. I 28 years old female, come from a very traditional Indian family. I left them when I came to USA for uni because I knew that if I accepted their help in paying my fees they would hold it against me later, and I got a part-time job along with the financial aid I was receiving. I maintained low contact and didn't visit them in person until I was 26, when they contacted me on my younger brother passing uni. For the last 2 years, I have visited them 4 times and each time they've been talking about marriage, although I stated very clearly that I wasn't interested. They brought up kids and how finding guys willing to marry older women was hard. I said no problem because I'm child-free and that I don't need/want them to find a guy for me. January this year, I went to visit them and they said that they had something special for me and that I would absolutely love it. The day after I reached their home, they said they were throwing me a welcome home party. I thought they were trying to fix our relationship and let it be. They invited a lot of people and it had obviously already been planned. An hour in, my parents introduced me to a man in his 30s, F and his parents. So, next thing I know, F goes down on one knee and whips out a beautiful ring. I'm surprised and angry at my parents for still trying to control my life and putting me in such a situation. I said no. But then our parents began to push my buttons and I exploded. I called F, his parents and my parents lowlifes for trying to trick me and basically insulted their views, calling them misogynistic and disgusting, told them to go F themselves and left. I packed my bags and went to stay at a hotel until it was time for my flight. My mom cried and begged me to stay and said that they had already paid for half of the dowry and ring. I stopped responding to my parents' calls and texts because I was done with them. My cousins and some old friends have been telling me that I was being unfair by being so rude to F and his parents. Thing is, they were in on it. They expected me to say yes and sent me a lot of insults when I refused to reconsider. They were humiliated and in their tiny group of small-minded people, my parents were being ostracized for raising a whore of a daughter. F and his parents were also humiliated because they were rejected by a whore. Am I the unreasonable one for being so rude? I feel like I should have handled the situation more delicately, rather than blowing up at all of them. Also, wow, I did not expect so many not the unreasonable ones or responses. When I said that they were in on it, I meant that my parents had told them that I hadn't met the right guy and that I would come around, which is why they kept trying. My parents expected me to surrender all my savings and money to F, live with F and his family in India, procreate with F 3 times and do all the housework when I can't even make a poached egg. About letting me go to college, I told them 2 weeks before leaving for it and lived at my friend's house with all my important documents, because I knew that they would do pretty much anything to keep me from going. They called my uni and said that I wouldn't be joining. Uni contacted me and I cleared it up. That's why I didn't talk to them and declined to let them pay. For those of you who told me to wear a faux ring, I'm engaged to my girlfriend of 5 years and my parents aren't getting an invite to the wedding. I knew that they'd ask me about it if they saw it and disapprove of anyone that wasn't Indian, let alone a female. Thank you for your responses and I am never talking to my parents again. Not the unreasonable one, but don't go back, in case they trap you. Get on that plane and don't go back. You have seen what they will do if you do. And I mean if you keep contact, get a wedding ring to wear. That they will see. It doesn't have to be real or have a man attached to it, but if they see you are taken, they may not try another stunt like this. You are not the unreasonable one. They embarrass themselves by underestimating your independence, strength and stubbornness. Good for you, smile. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.